This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Many were impressed by the trailer for Matt Reeves' upcoming Batman, a movie which now regrettably has been delayed not until just next year, but until 2022. Behind the scenes, the production has been a troubled one, and not just due to the current situation which affects all film production equally. Rumors are surfacing that star Robert Pattinson himself poses an issue. In this video, we will address the importance of skills and professionalism within the creative industry, before going through the rumors emanating from the set of The Batman. Then, we will see if filmmaker Gary J. Tunnicliffe has heard those rumors, and if so, what he makes of them. A recurring theme in this video is that of skill set and professionalism. The skill set any creative has determines which doors to the industry that can be opened, but to ensure they stay open, professionalism is required. Showing up on time, showing up prepared, and conducting oneself in a courteous manner will take you far when you have the skills required for the job. But for many wanting to either break into creative industries, or who are already there but want to take their career in a new direction, acquiring those skills in the first place is often a challenge. That's where Skillshare comes into the picture, and they've got you covered. Skillshare, this video's sponsor, is an online learning community for creatives, where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including film and video production, creative writing, freelance and entrepreneurship, marketing, productions, freelancing, and a whole range of other topics. Whether you are already a working creative, a dabbler, or just a curious lifelong learner, Skillshare has classes to fit your skill level and your schedule, as classes are under 60 minutes. They include a combination of video lessons and a class project, enabling you to acquire new skills quickly. This is something we can attest to ourselves. We are frequently complimented for the high production quality of our videos, but if you go back and look at our older catalog, you'll find this wasn't always so. Skillshare's courses in film and video production helped us to up our game from where we were, and no matter where you are, they can do the same for you. Access to Skillshare costs less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. But since they sponsor this video, we naturally have a deal for you. The first 1,000 of our subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of a premium membership, so you can explore your creativity. So click the link in the description to sign up while we get back to exploring what is going on behind the scenes of Matt Reeves' The Batman. Since the conclusion of Twilight, actor Robert Pattinson has been doing smaller auteur movies, honing his skills as an actor. While some have had a hard time getting over the image of him as the sparkly vampire, his hard work, tenacity, and devotion to his craft have won him many fans both within the industry and among the movie-going public. His work in both The Lighthouse and Tenet significantly raised his profile after being cast as the next Batman. While more and more warmed up to the idea of him as Batman, Pattinson did give an interview to GQ magazine, which caused some level of concern among fans. This interview was published on May 12th, when production on the movie had been shut down for the first time. In it, Pattinson explained that he had been provided with everything required to bulk up for the role while production was on hiatus, but he had decided that he didn't want to, because James Dean never bulked up for any role, and he didn't want to become part of the problem, which he seemingly saw other actors bulking up for their roles as being. Many dismissed these statements as being an example of Pattinson trolling, or displaying some British humor, or even giving a sample of his take on Bruce Wayne. Filming on the movie finally resumed in September, but only for a few days, before production was shut down again, this time due to Robert Pattinson himself having tested positive for the virus. However, more recent rumors suggest that this was but a cover story. We had heard these rumors ourselves, but the first one to make them public was our good friend and future ruler of the earth, Dictor Van Doomcock. In his video published on October 6th, he laid out how his sources had explained to him that when Pattinson told GQ he wouldn't bulk up, he was quite sincere. When Matt Reeves first saw him, he was apparently shocked at how skinny he was. Around the arms, shoulders, and chest to be clear. According to what we heard, all that pasta he blew up his microwave with had, if anything, made him skinny fat. Matt Reeves was not happy, to say the least. According to Doomcock's source, production was shut down again for the next few weeks, so Pattinson at the very least could get toned for close-ups and dialogue, which he still refused to do, leaving director Matt Reeves with no other choice but to film him as he is. It's already well known within the industry that stuntmen are filling in for him in the Batsuit. But even if they deepfake his mouth onto those stuntmen, there will be no doubt that Pattinson is not the one actually behind the mask. For the scenes where he was the one behind the mask, Doomcock's source further claimed Pattinson was difficult to deal with, complaining non-stop. Director Matt Reeves is apparently not happy about the situation and just wants to be done with it all. As always, we must stress that these are rumors. While Doomcock was the one who reported it, we have heard them too. But are these rumors really making the rounds in the industry among industry professionals? We were lucky enough that we could ask one. Gary J. Tunnicliffe started out in the industry with special makeup effects on movies like Hellraiser, Sleepy Hollow, and The Exorcist at the beginning. Later, he moved into acting, writing, and directing. On Hellraiser Judgment, he did all of the above. On October 7th, he joined Tom and Andre on the brand new live show Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which is on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern. After the conclusion to this particular live show, we asked him if he had heard anything about this from his industry connections. And if he had, if he was willing to share what he as a filmmaker makes of them.
Gary, tell us, what have you heard about the Batman and Robert Pattinson situation?
All I heard was that there was definitely tensions between Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson, and that he was being quite difficult to work with. The person I'd spoken to, they almost suggested that this situation was that, because I'd said, oh, I hear you shut down due to COVID, and they said, it's not COVID that shut us down. And then I said, oh, is it something else? I said, is it your lead actor? And they were like, maybe. and then of course I heard from somebody else that the rumor was that Matt Reeves was visibly shocked at the size of Robert Pattinson, and that he was worried that the stunt people would considerably larger than him. So then obviously I looked into it, and the other rumors I saw kind of circulating were that there'd been an issue about working out and kind of bulking up and everything else. If it is true, it's a very difficult situation as a director who's had I like to think I have a very good relationship with actors, but there have been two instances on films where I had an actor dig their heels in the ground against me. And it does put you in a very harsh situation, because I think Jim Cameron once said it, that the most powerful person on a film set is an actor once you're 2 weeks into filming, because they hold all the pennies really, because you're kind of beholden to them a little bit, well, not a little bit, a lot. And even though people imagine that Hollywood's very, it's very tough and ruthless on film sets, people don't want to really tend to get into it where they say, you will do this or face the consequences. There's an awful lot of political kind of dancing that has to be done. Like if an actor looks a certain way or hasn't stood up to their obligation, it has to go through their agent and kind of, or their management. It has to be suggested and asked. And while you're doing that kind of thing, production is slowed down or stopped even while these negotiations are being had. I remember Stephen Knighton talking about Blade and saying that every day there were these 2-hour discussions with Connery and his people about, is this right, and are we doing that, and everything else. And Steve said he found it incredibly frustrating, because all he wanted to do was shoot the movie, and eventually it kind of led to a huge bust up on set. I had a situation with an actor where he'd done a reading of a scene. We'd shot the wide shot, and the actor had basically done the line reading a certain way in the wide, and when I went for the close, he changed the line reading to something very different, which gave a very intonation to the scene. And then I said to him, can you do it the same way as you did in the wide? And he went, no, I've changed my mind. I think this is how I would do it. And he wouldn't change his mind. And the other actors were actually saying to him, what are you doing? And he just wouldn't do it. And in the end, I had to just say to him, well, if you don't, I'm going to use the wide shot. And he said, fine. And I said, right, fuck it, I'll use the wide shot. And it really put a wedge between us for the rest of the film. And it was a very nasty situation. So if Matt Reeves is having those situations with Pattinson, it can make for very ugly filmmaking. And I heard that the stuff that I did here was the case, and that Matt Reeves just wanted to get the thing finished and get it done and get out of there.
What does that say for the franchise prospects? Because the idea from when this was greenlit was to make a trilogy of Pattinson Batman movies. Is this something, depending on box office, of course, but is this something that can sour and threaten a potential trilogy if Pattinson has the attitude that I don't want to bulk up, there's no reason to, I'm just going to go as I am? Could that threaten the future of the franchise?
I would offer you two scenarios. If Pattinson is moody, difficult to work with, doesn't want to bulk up, is a pain in the butt, and is a nightmarish actor ad infinitum, and the film comes out and is a monstrous success, he'll be the next Batman. If he does all of that and the film comes out and isn't a success, he won't be the next Batman. It all comes down to how, I mean, look, there's a very nice kind of cleanup job on RDJ right now. Everyone seems to think that Robert Downey Jr. is the most lovable, fluffy bunny rabbit on the planet. Yeah, I know stories from Iron Man where, Robert Downey Jr. is not an easy person to work with and can be quite difficult, but clearly knows that he's the face of the franchise and is treated in a very different way to a lot of the other actors and knows the power he has. And I think the filmmakers involved clearly know it, so he has to be respected. He's the elephant in the room, if you like. You know what I mean? He knows where the power is. So again, it's show business. So if the film comes out and people love Pattinson and he's great, no matter what kind of a pain in the butt he might be, if that's true, then no, it could go forwards and on and on and on. I think, we can see that even going back as something like Val Kilmer, I mean, I think Val Kilmer wasn't particularly easy to work with on the Batman movie he did, but the film wasn't a success, and therefore it was a non-issue, do you know what I mean, to replace him. So it all comes down to that. Actors can be difficult, same as directors can be difficult, special makeup effects artists can be difficult. There are a lot of quirks in the industry. I'm certainly a quirky individual, but if you're as good as your last gig, certainly there are people who get hired who are nice people, and it's definitely, I would say it would bode more difficult for Pattinson's next project going on to somewhere else, because as directors, and you do talk to each other, even low budget directors, you'll talk about actors, are they easy to work with? Are they good? Are they fun? Are they nice people? Because if you're going to spend either, whether it be 5-6 shooting weeks together or 6 months, you want to know that you have a good relationship and that they're going to be amenable to the things that you're going to want to do. I think that's why people would look at Tim Burton and say, why does Tim Burton work with Johnny Depp all the time? Clearly he likes Johnny. Johnny's a really great person anyway. And I'm sure, I suspect Tim might have had some bad relationships with other leading men and said, I love Johnny. Johnny loves me. We get on, and he does what I want him to do, and it's a good working relationship. It's like sometimes it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So it can be very harming for an actor's career if they are deemed to be difficult or problematic. I think that's become true with Tom Hardy. I think people know that Tom Hardy is not the easiest individual to work with, and I think it's had an effect on his career, because I think you've got to kind of balance it up. I want this brilliantly nuanced performance, and I want a character who's going to immerse himself in the role, but I still want someone that I can actually physically work with and, and get the job done,
Do you think there is any truth behind these rumors? And does this make you more or less excited for seeing Matt Reeves' The Batman when it's released in 2022? Let us know in the comments, and remember to click the link in the description so you too can explore your creativity and be among the 1,000 to get a 2-month free trial of a premium membership of Skillshare.